Welcome to Your Connected Life and Sense 22. And before we get started, pull out your journal, go ahead and do your journal work, and then unpause. And let's talk for just a second about number 22, which is a very fascinating one. 22 is hunting, killing, or food obtaining urges. So I think this is one conversation that every vegan has had. I've been raw vegan for 11 years. And I think I've had this conversation with pretty much every vegan I know about, like, what if you were unable to obtain plants? Would you kill and eat an animal, or would you just die of starvation? And that's an interesting one, because I don't think most people are like looking at a squirrel and then wanting to like go kill it and eat it, or a cow, you know? I think this one has so much to do with our modern day life, and during our evolutionary period up until now, for the vast majority of that, we had to either hunt and gather or kill food, and obviously there's a whole history to that. But we don't have to do that anymore. Pretty much hunting is a sport, but we don't have to go procure our food beyond making an online order or going to the grocery store. So we don't necessarily experience, I think, those hunting and killing urges. I when I see an animal, I'm like, oh, an animal. Like, I feel very much connected to that animal, or a sense of like wanting to make sure that they stay safe, or if they're hurt, to try to help them and then re-free them into the wild environment. So, I definitely don't have like hunting and killing instincts, but I will say that if I was in that scenario that all the vegans talk about, and I could not get food any other way, probably yes. Probably I would go for fish first, bugs first. I can't imagine a situation where there are no plants, but if that did happen, I can imagine I would definitely eat a fish, or I feel like those urges would kick in if it was my survival or not. I don't know. I've never been in that situation, and I just have a real affinity for and love animals and plants as well. I was thinking about that this morning, and I've thought about that many times with plants, that we're still killing plants to eat them. We're still using, we're getting our life force from another's life force from the death of someone else. So even if you are raw vegan, you are still taking life force from someone else for your own. Unless you are, I forget what it's called. It's a specific kind of fruitarian. They only eat fruit, and they only eat fruit that's dropped on the ground. So they're not actually killing anything. I guess, you could say they're taking the life of that fruit early, but it would just sit there and rot, or an animal would eat it otherwise. So that's one way to go about it. I feel like I feel very grateful for the plants that I eat, and I am always connecting in with them. Like, before I make a juice or make a salad or something, I'll kind of put my hands on it and thank it for its life and for giving me life. But it definitely is, a kind of killing for sure. I think it's on a different scale if you're looking at sentience. But the truth is, we have to eat to survive, unless you are a breatharian, which that does exist as well. Interesting. So those are my thoughts today, and I would be really interested in your thoughts on this. If you have comments to leave me I think people who hunt, I've always thought that there has to be some kind of disconnection from sort of a empathy with the animal, because there's no possibility that I would do that. You would basically have to threaten my life before I would kill an animal. So to me, there has to be some kind of desensitization that happens to actually want to go out and do that. I think a lot of times it comes from people's family. That's like a tradition in their family, so they sort of don't really think about it until something happens when they sort of wake up to what they're doing, and maybe they want to make a different choice. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't see animals as having, I think, like the right to live, or their own experience. So there are a lot of different views on that, obviously, and it's just interesting, right? So I would love to hear your impressions. Today, I think just notice things today, right? With your wild body, with your wild self. Just notice how you feel about how you obtain food. And is there anything you haven't thought through about that? Is there anything that you've been unaware of that you're having little pieces of awareness come in that you want to think more about? Are there ways you want to do it differently? Do you have people in your family who hunt, or do you hunt, and how do you feel about that? I think just kind of examine what comes up for you on this sense, but it is one of our senses if we are in a position where we actually need to get food. I mean, I guess you could say that pretty much on Sunday or Monday nights, I run out of food in my fridge, and so I'm hungry, and so I have the attraction to ordering some food from the grocery store. So I guess we can even look at it in terms of that. That's how I experience that sense. Yeah. So I would love for you to just observe how you experience that sense of obtaining food, and how you do that, and how you feel about it. So don't forget to journal, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next sense.